My initial experience getting diagnosed with HPV was when I was 23 years old, and it was terrifying, to be quite honest. When I first had a pap test, they said it had come up irregular, but they weren't entirely sure what that meant, so they had me come back in, and it came up irregular again, and that's when they sent me for a colposcopy and a biopsy, and then initially told me that everything was all clear, that maybe they just misread it or they didn't collect enough cells, or something happened, but they still felt a little bit unsure, and they had me come back 3 months later, and that's when they did the HPV test in conjunction with the pap, and they called me back and said, okay, you're HPV positive. Back then, it was just, 3 letters, my doctor calling me at work, and my doctor never called me at work to give me results of a test. I usually just got a voicemail on my home number saying, everything's good, see you next year. And so when he called, and I even heard his voice when I answered the phone, my stomach totally dropped, because I thought, oh my God, something's wrong, and how could something be wrong? I do everything the right way. I think I do everything the right way, so I don't know what this was about. I had 2 rounds of cryosurgery. I had a LEEP procedure, and I lived through all of this partially without telling anyone what was going on with me. Partially trying to get as much information as I could, but not being able to find that much, not being able to find much discussion. Had the cobas HPV test been available, I think I could have eliminated all those months of waiting and being panicky, anxiety-filled, feeling, okay, maybe I'm okay, maybe I'm not okay. If they can identify the strains immediately, the genotypes that are going to cause cancer, then that should be dealt with immediately. So knowing that much more quickly can only be beneficial too. I think using the HPV test as a first line can only be beneficial because it eliminates the waiting situation that I dealt with and that most people seem to deal with if the pap does come first, and because of the possibility of them saying it came back irregular, but we're not sure what the situation is. Whereas if you have a more specifically defined test that says, this is how it came back and this is what it says, that, I think, to me, that sounds like making progress. I think we do have the ability to eliminate cervical cancer. There's no reason for you to get cervical cancer. There's no reason anybody should get cervical cancer.